Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are all doing well. Now today's review, as you can already tell by the title, you know what I'm doing, but I'm excited to say that I am going to be unboxing and reviewing from a brand that I haven't before, and that brand is Gatta. So I don't think I have reviewed from this brand before. I'm pretty certain that I haven't, but the brand Gatta has recently become available on sale with the Tight Spot, and it just so happens that the Tight Spot did send me these to unbox, review and give you a little lowdown on what I thought of them. So the video is in collaboration with the Tight Spot, and any of the product details and obviously the link to the product will be in the description bar below. So if you do like the look of them and you fancy treating yourself, then that's where you can find the link, along with my code, which is Langford, that gives you 10% off full price and sale price as well. So just thought I'd let you know before we get started. So let's have a look at what I'm going to be looking at. So these are the Gatta Chiara tights. They're does it say that? No, it doesn't. So on the listing it says they're Gatta Chiara Backseam tights. They're in the colour black. I have them in a size 4, which is a large, and they are retailing on the Tight Spot for £9.95. They're a 20 denier, a slight sheen finish, a French heel, and a decorative brief. So let's go ahead and take a little look. So first impressions, the packaging is actually really nice, super duper simple and perfect. You can see exactly what the product looks like. Yeah, nice, clean, simple, which I kind of appreciate that. The logo is very unusual. It's kind of, in actual fact, it's kind of like a cat, which is kind of cool, so I don't mind that. But yeah, definitely unusual in comparison to most hosiery brands. I don't know, it's got like a little bit of an edge to it, whereas actually I have seen some of their stocking products and they have really interesting designs on their top. So I think they're sort of a brand that just produce some unique pieces along with more sort of statement, simpler pieces. So I like that. But yeah, back seam, delicate, decorative panties and a reinforced heel. The back of these is pretty simple. Again, quite a bit of information, but nothing too much. So nice and simplistic. So these are a Polish brand, and it says tights for ladies with embroidered seam made of elastine type yarn, transparent, matte with knickers, part of bikini type. So that's interesting because obviously in the description it says they're matte, but on the front or the Tight Spots say that they have a slight sheen to them. So be interesting to see, you know, which is which. Let's have a little look. So it goes from a small, medium to large, and it actually does say, which is different to what a lot of Polish and a lot of sort of European brands do, they've actually given you a direct UK size, which is very rare. So the large should fit a 12 to 14, so there shouldn't be any issues. 170 to 178 in height. I'm 175, so should fit in that as well. Hips and weight, I couldn't tell you because I never know those, especially the hips in centimetres is a bit random. But these are 89% polyamide and 11% elastine, so that extra 1% of stretch could be just perfect. So yeah, hand wash only. And then there's just obviously the usual sort of details on here. So I'm going to go ahead and open them up and see how they look, if I can actually get into them. Well, at least they're not easy to sort of pry open. Oh wow, there we go. Recyclable as well, so that's great. They've come in their little plastic bag, and then it looks like they are just wrapped in the plain cardboard. So let's have a look. You can already sort of see a really fine seam, so let's give them a little unwrap. Now what I really like about these is not only are they a simple black pair of tights, they have a really lovely back seam, so it just adds that extra touch. But I absolutely love when the tights have the decorative briefs, panties on them. I think they're really, really lovely. So straight off the bat, these look incredibly long. Yeah, very, very long, which is not a problem. But yeah, you can sort of see. I think they're definitely a good length. Right, let's start as I always do from the top. Let's get them sort of in the right place. And here we go. So, waistband, a pretty reasonably thick top waistband, a little bit of tautness to it, but actually quite a soft waistband, which is nice to appreciate that. Not so soft that it's going to sort of roll down or pull from the hips down, but nice and soft. I will say it's possibly because of how it's packaged, but it is, the seams do look a bit twisted, but like I say, that could be how it's packaged and how it's been sitting. But if I sort of show you the front with the seam in the middle to camera, it's actually off on the back by quite a lot. You can see there that they don't match up. So the seam for the back is here, going that way, and this one is running straight to camera. So yeah, if I turn it directly now, it's kind of twisting over to one side. So that may mean that's just how it's packaged up and how it's been sitting flat. But yeah, it's always a bit of a worry when the seam looks very obviously like it could be twisted. But anyway, carrying on, it's got quite a long panty kind of detail to it. So I would imagine it's going to sit quite high up on the hips, which for me personally, I really, really like. I think it kind of elongates the leg and creates quite a nice shape. And I think the pattern is really pretty as well, actually. It's going to be quite difficult to show you, if I even can, without actually having it on or not. Yeah, you can see a little bit of it. It's a very, very fine pattern, but you can see a scalloped edge, and then there's a little bit of, I'm not actually sure what sort of pattern that is really. It's kind of a mix of a sort of random one with a little bit of a geometric floral pattern, I guess. But yeah, super pretty, super light. Let's have a little look at the foot, because I think the foot is going to be a bit different. So we've got the seam running obviously down the back. I'll get to the heel in a minute. There we go. So as it said, it's a French heel. This all looks really nice, actually. This seam looks really nicely sewn. There's no gap here. This joins really nicely. There's a nice amount of definition here and shape, so that's really lovely. And then obviously the reinforcement is on the heel. Underneath the foot, as you can see, the strip goes under the foot here. But actually, there's no reinforcement coming round on the toe, so that's quite interesting. So it isn't technically a reinforced heel and toe. Interesting. There we go. I don't think I've ever seen a pair of tights that have that reinforcement at the back, but nothing at the front. So that's interesting. There's one thing that I might make comment on before I put them on, is that I don't know whether it shows up on camera, but some of the texture on here is quite mottled already. When it's stretched out, you probably don't notice it so much, but I'm not sure whether that's going to come up on, yeah, there's quite a lot of sort of like mottling. It doesn't look flat. So we shall see. I'm not sure how that will sort of look, but overall, they feel quite nice. They've got a very good amount of stretch to them. They do feel very, very fine. Sometimes with a 20 denier, I don't mind so much because they actually feel quite robust. They have that kind of plasticky texture to them, which kind of feels a bit more stable. These less so. Yeah, they feel quite fragile, so we're going to see. I might have to get the gloves out and put them on, but £9.95. I think these could be really lovely. I'm just a little bit dubious of maybe how they're going to go quality wise, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put them on and we can take a look. The tights are on, and I will say that these are one of very, very few Polish Hosiery branded items that I would say is completely true to size. I usually find personally that their sizing runs small to substantially quite a lot smaller than what I would expect regarding UK sizing, which is fine. Obviously there's differences in different places and differences in averages and things like that, but this is definitely a size large in these tights. The 12 to 14, I would say yes, and I would say that because they're not big on me or too big, but there's definitely room in them, so I think that's quite a good thing to say. I always say I'm about a size 12 on the bottom, and these have definitely got extra room in them and extra length in them too, which is really, really great. So I'm going to do what I usually do. I'm going to start with the feet and then work from there. So as we saw, these obviously have the reinforced heel and foot underneath, but not on the toes. So we just literally have the join, and that's it. So if you like that sort of reinforced panel, you might be a little bit disappointed. But overall, I still think they look nice on the toes. It's just there's no sort of RHT kind of look to these specifically. And then obviously we have the reinforcement on the foot underneath, as you can see, and then going up onto the heel. So they're nice and sheer on the feet, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the back of these properly. So I think these are really nice at the back. I like the fact that the seam is joined completely to the French heel design. It's very clean, it's very small, actually small and elegant. There's no sort of big cutouts or anything in the shaping, so really, really nice. And I really like the back seam on these because it's actually quite fine. It's quite a fine back seam, which I think is lovely. It's a really nice contrast with the 20 denier, so I think that works really nicely. And obviously that seam comes all the way sort of up, kind of bum, under bum, that kind of thing. And then obviously the design at the top starts. But overall, I think these have got actually a really beautiful look to them. I was worried that they might go a bit mottled, but they haven't at all. They just have what I would say is, the 20 denier kind of look. I think they actually look really nice on the leg. Got a lovely sheerness to them. The weave on them does have a little couple of areas where it's stretched a little bit more out of shape, but it's not something that I wouldn't expect for tights at that price point. I would say for £9.95 they're still well made, well constructed in terms of the actual kind of composition of fabric. I'm not going to be able to sort of show you the top half just because obviously it does sit quite a bit higher up the top. The design looks really nice as well, even when it sort of stretches. If you've got a bit more of a fuller bum, the design still stays really nice as well. It doesn't kind of go out of shape or start doing any weird sort of like misshapen stretching or anything. So that's really good. The only thing I will say about the nylons is, when I was showing you them and I said that even with the front seam flat straight onto camera, that the back seam actually was sort of skewed and went almost sort of across diagonally. That is definitely the case. So it hasn't caused any issues with, sometimes when things are really twisted, one of the legs become actually smaller. So you end up with this weird sort of pull and twist, which creates quite a lot of friction on one leg. That hasn't happened on these, which is great. It's purely where the sort of like actual gussets and seam go. So if I line it up directly at the front, it is possibly about that far off from my back seam. If I put the back seam completely where it's meant to be, it's off at the front. So if you are a real stickler for perfectionism in how your seams line up, that is probably going to annoy you. Now, I'm obviously saying that's not going to happen for each pair of tights. There's obviously kind of manufacturing defects, manufacturing differences, which, you know, we wouldn't expect to happen, but it does happen. So I'm not saying that's going to happen with your pair if you decide to buy them, but it's something to bear in mind that that might be more common than not. So if you're a real stickler for your seams lining up, just let you know that that may happen. But overall, I think these are genuinely a really nice pair of tights. I can certainly say that it's not put me off the brand at all, so I'm glad I got to try them. I do like the fact that these are a very simple sort of pair of 20 denier black nylons, but then they also have the added detail of the back seam with the French heel. So it kind of turns a simple pair of black nylons into something just that little bit more special. And I think if you're somebody that likes the sort of seamed RHT sort of look, you're getting a little bit of that in a really simplistic pair of tights too. And then of course you've got the really lovely kind of panty design at the top, which I really like. It's one of my favourite tops to have. You know, aside from the pattern going all the way from toe to waistband. So I really like that too. In terms of the price point for these, I definitely wouldn't have them any more expensive, but I think these are probably about the right kind of price, especially if we put into consideration the fact that we have the back seam, we have the French heel detail. They're all things that take that extra time and manufacturing, and of course the design at the top as well. So I think they are probably about the right price point. The quality is nice enough as well. Obviously we have that little issue with the waistband, but again, that's not going to be common throughout the whole thing. And the sizing I feel is on point. So I think they are probably good for $9.95, and of course if you're getting that little extra 10% off, then they're even better priced. But I think for me personally, I'm going to give these about an 8.5 out of 10, purely on the basis of overall I really like them. I would want the seams to line up better. That's just me and the way I like things to look. And I don't think I'd be the only person wanting the seams to line up either. So I'm going to say that, and I think that I would want that reinforcement to follow all the way around from heel to toe. So that's probably why I'm going to give it an 8.5. But overall, I think these are actually a really lovely pair of tights, and if you want those extra details on a simplistic 20 denier, then I would recommend you having a little look at these Gatta Chiara tights. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you tried from the Gatta brand before? What are your thoughts? And what are your thoughts on these ones in particular? Let me know. And that is going to be it from me today. And join me again soon for another little unboxing session. Bye.